Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. Brock Lesnar's next WWE match has been revealed. I'm Ollie Davis. This is the other one, Luke Owen. Welcome to the WrestleRamble review edition of last night's post-Hell in a Cell Raw, where Brock Lesnar wasn't there. Why would he? That would cost way too much money. But Paul Heyman was to accept on Lesnar's behalf a triple threat for the Universal title at November 2nd's Crown Jewels.
No plural. Crown Jewel is the name of this show, I believe.
WWE Crown Jewels. Coming to you live from Riyadh,
Saudi Arabia. We're heading back to the beautiful city. Well, I'm assuming it's a beautiful city of Riyadh.
Because Jeddah was the last one.
That was a really beautiful city.
And progressive. That was my big takeaway.
Did you hear how progressive the place has become? That they've just arrested a man for having breakfast with a woman in public?
What?
I know.
What kind of breakfast?
Well, I'd imagine croissants, pain au chocolat, maybe. And I'm only saying that because that's what I had for breakfast this morning.
Well, you know, we shouldn't probably make light of such serious
things.
No,
we shouldn't. And we also shouldn't make too many political comments, because the last time we did that, during the build-up to the Greatest Royal Rumble, we got accused of being unfair to Saudi Arabia. And
locking people up for having breakfast.
Yeah.
I love breakfast.
Breakfast is my favourite meal of the day.
Yeah. But hey, you know, if you really want to be diligent on fasting, micro-fasting, and you want to only eat within that 6-hour window, breakfast is the best meal to skip because of natural appetite suppression in the morning. So maybe, like, the Crown Prince has just got everyone's fasting schedules.
You know,
in mind.
when people clicked on this video expecting us to talk about Brock Lesnar, this is what they wanted to hear, was you and I chatting about breakfast, because I made an absolutely corking breakfast over the weekend. But I'll tell you about that another time.
Yeah, on the podcast, probably.
Yep.
So yes, Brock Lesnar is going to be there at the Crown Jewels
I was just
show.
trying to mind my notes. Yes.
And it's going to be a triple threat with Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns' Universal title up for grabs. So this is playing off the Hell in a Cell finish where Brock Lesnar came, ripped open the Hell in a Cell door.
Kicked it off, you mean?
Kicked it open.
Kicked it through.
And F5'd both men, which was so devastating, the entire match had to be called off. And it's built to this, yeah.
Yes, so we're heading back to Saudi Arabia. We're getting a triple threat match. But not only that, the show is also going to contain a World Cup tournament, the first ever WWE World Cup tournament, where the winner will get a trophy. That much we know, because there's a trophy in the promo image.
They love a trophy, don't
Well,
they?
I know. I made a joke about this in the news, that this is just the next in a long line of trophies that have been handed out this year alone. And I'm sure that we'll never see that trophy ever again, much like Braun's Greatest Royal Rumble Championship belt.
You'll see it for a couple of weeks, but then it will be it'll just Thanos away.
Yeah, it'll be moved into storage.
Yeah, imagine carrying that around from flight to flight, show to show, a cross-country America thing.
But I think it's really interesting that Lesnar's back, because we all expected him to be gone after SummerSlam. That was what had been widely reported, was that was going to be his final date. He'd entered himself into the USADA testing pool because he's going back to UFC in January next year. But the report is, Dave Meltzer was running about this in MMA Fighting, that he hasn't actually officially signed with UFC yet, and there's no sort of date really confirmed for when he's going back. He's just re-entered the USADA testing pool, and he's going to make upwards of 7 figures for these two matches.
These two,
the way that Meltzer phrases it for the Saudi Arabia matches. So presumably the Greatest Royal Rumble and this one is where he's earned 7 million. Well, up 7 figures is where he will have earned that money from. And Meltzer also writes that while WWE, because they signed a confidentiality agreement, that they weren't allowed to reveal how much money Saudi Arabia has paid for them to go over and create propaganda pay-per-views, the financial reportings, see a little smirk from you there, the financial reportings state that Greatest Royal Rumble earned them an extra $45 million for that one show. So that's
just one show. They'll get two $45 million.
Presumably, if this one is as big.
Hey man, there's an old Groucho Marx quote that I live by. Here's my principles. If you don't like them, I've got others. And that's a fair chunk of change.
Well, that's more money than they've made from any other show, including WrestleMania. So that's why they're willing to. That's why they want to have stars on this. They want to earn the money that they're making, or they're being paid for this by having a big name like a Brock Lesnar. That's why they're trying to coax Shawn Michaels out of retirement for the show, because that's the other rumored match. It's D-Generation X versus the Brothers of Destruction,
which on this show certainly seems to be built towards.
Yep.
That was the rumor last week, and it's interesting how all this stuff that Dave Meltzer has reported is coming to pass.
Well, Dave Meltzer reporting things that are actually correct. Yeah, I mean, he's never done that before, has he? And it's really interesting that essentially money talks. And while I'd imagine Lesnar probably was done after SummerSlam, they were like, hey, but if you come and do this one more match at Crown Jewel, I can remember what the name of the show was.
Crown Jewels.
Crown Jewels. You can have another load of money. But according to Mike Johnson at PW Insider, it's not just going to be Crown Jewel. The Lesnar is going to be appearing at all the major events until at least the end of the year. So, so perhaps that will include a surprise appearance at Super Showdown. And there's also Survivor Series coming up in November. And actually, Michael Cole had a line in this show where he said, man, there's a lot going on in WWE at the moment. And I was like, no kidding. Like, there's 4 shows in 6 weeks. 4 big shows. You've got Evolution, or Evolution, depending on which way you want to pronounce it, SmackDown 1000, Super Showdown, and the Saudi Arabia show. And then you got Survivor Series at the end of that month.
Yeah, so those first four are all within a 30-day period.
Yeah, they fall within 6 weeks of each other, really.
From the 6th of October through to the 2nd of November.
Yeah.
And it is, that was one of my criticisms of this episode of Raw. It feels like it's being ripped apart.
Stretched.
And it's not like it's a stacked quality show anyway. It's already spread pretty thin. So
and you can also,
when you have all these pay-per-views pulling it off in each different focus part, it makes that thinness even more transparent.
And you can tell which ones they care about, because Evolution is the one that is getting absolutely zero mention now. Like they did their couple of weeks of it, but now they're more interested in pushing Super Showdown and Crown Jewel.
To be fair, Super Showdown is
soon
the next one.
Yeah.
And Crown Jewels is the one that plays off of the Hell in a Cell finish. So that could just be a weak thing.
But there was no mention of, they're doing the teasers of Ronda and Nikki, I suppose, but there's been no mentions of Mickie James and Elite. I mean, they mention it on commentary, but it's not like they've been doing video packages for it.
5 weeks until that show.
It's a 3-hour show.
I've got no qualm. Look, it already feels like they're promoting too much stuff. I'm not going to sit there and go, yeah, but they're not promoting this other thing.
I wasn't saying that as a criticism. I was just saying you can see which shows are more important to them.
No, I think this week, there's many things I can see why.
In all fairness, they are going to make much more money.
Yeah, plus, just narratively, one sooner and the other one sequentially plays off the previous night's.
Fair enough.
So I think that's okay. Paul Heyman actually came out here. The show kicked off with Roman Reigns saying, if you want your rematch, Brock, come face me like a man.
Yes.
And I wrote in my Raw review, well, I can't think of many things more manly than kicking a cage door in, beating everyone up, and having a beard.
Yep, pretty much.
So that's but Braun Strowman came out and answered him instead, and they had a bit of back and forth, and then Baron Corbin comes out, and that's when he says the Crown Jewels, and I was a bit confused here. I was like, so what's that? It's a triple threat?
I thought it was quite clear that it's a triple threat match, and it's going to be at Crown Jewel, no plural, on the 2nd of November in Saudi Arabia.
Okay. And then maybe it was just the Crown Jewels bit that hit me by surprise.
You keep saying Crown Jewels.
I know, I'm trying to make it a thing.
Like my man.
Well, it's Crown Jewels is sort of an English slang for
balls.
A penis and balls.
Yeah.
The whole package down there.
Yeah, that's the Crown Jewels.
I think it's funny.
Cool.
My man. And Baron Corbin made that match, and Braun said that sucks.
He said, and that sucks, cheered. You suck. But then, crucially, he said, and everyone in this arena sucks, just to remind us that he is the heel.
Did you get the sense that Braun might be going towards that as a new catchphrase?
Well,
he said
suck.
Things suck. a lot.
Yeah, but like if that is going to be his new catchphrase, that'll get over and get him cheered like a babyface when he's clearly supposed to be a heel.
Yeah, it's already over. Yeah, I think, because when he said it, because he says it later on to Baron Corbin, he says, "You suck." Cheer from the crowd, and I can kill you. He's just like, by the way, I could kill you.
I could with my bare hands. I could probably kill you.
It wouldn't make me break that much of a sweat. Just so you know, Baron.
Yeah,
and that got a bigger pop. So I was like,
because he's a natural babyface and he's presented like a badass.
Yeah, organically right now he is very much a babyface. It's awkward and contrived that they're trying to retrofit him into this mold to play off Roman. But then Paul Heyman came out and accepted the match on Lesnar's behalf, and he explained something called Brockonomics.
Yeah, I was really interested to learn about Brockonomics. Yeah. Apparently it's got a lot to do with UFC.
Yeah, so you can negotiate higher rates in UFC because of what you're doing in WWE, and he's getting paid loads for WWE. Playing off real life, really, if you said he hasn't even signed a contract with the UFC.
Apparently so. I thought actually it was really good as well. He was like that there's no bigger star than Brock Lesnar. When Brock Lesnar was champion, WWE got a multi-billion-dollar deal with Fox. Their stock was at the highest it's ever been. That's while Brock was champion.
Yeah.
And that's why Brock should be champion again.
I like this. I'm surprised at how... because I was always a fan of Paul and Brock, even when they had the Universal Reign of Terror. But it was after WrestleMania where I was like, okay. And that's not Brock's fault. That's WWE's for elongating that feud past Greatest Royal Rumble all the way to SummerSlam. I was like, okay, I'm a bit sick of this act now. 1 month is all it took. Just seeing Paul out there, I'm like, yeah, this is much better than what it could be.
Yes.
Because this show... I found it quite uninspiring. Mm-hmm. You said you liked it.
I thought it was a good show. I'm not saying it was a groundbreaking show or like an excellent show, but I thought it was a good show. I thought it was more good than bad on the show.
So when before Roman won the title, and we said, look, this is all like a weird hangover of when Roman was meant to win the title at WrestleMania. We just want the Roman era to begin. We don't want the Roman era, but we just want to get past it. And we see what happens now. We're bored of whatever was before, which was the Lesnar reign. And this was the first show where I was like, okay, we really are in this Reigns era. Mm-hmm. And, ground me down a bit.
Well, it's... Because I saw a lot of people talking about this on the Discord, saying that...
Come chit-chat with us on there, by the way.
And some people saying that, they didn't really like the main event because it was just a lot of people running in. It's a lot of schmaz. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors. A lot of smoke and mirrors at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. And I was like, but that's how Raw used to end when Austin was on top as well. There was always a lot of run-ins and interference and schmozzes around ringside and everything. But we seemed to like it then. But it's probably because we liked Austin.
Well, that's it. There's a crucial difference there. That's one of the most over guys ever to step foot in a ring. And Roman Reigns, one of the most... divisive.
Look at
controversial.
Absolutely, yeah. Look at when Mankind first won the WWF Championship in '99. There's about 1 million people at ringside because you've got all the DX and the Corporation and the Rock and everyone. There's so many people around ringside and so much run-ins and interference in that match. But it's genuinely one of the best matches they've ever done on Raw.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it works. But you do have to be emotionally connected to the people in what roles they're in.
Yeah,
we're into Mankind as a face. We were into DX as tweener, cool.
Well, they were the cool guys. They were the baby face. I like everyone in this, with the exception of Roman, really. And even then, I don't hate Roman.
But
just a bit blur.
The problem is with having Roman as the central point is that everyone else has to move around to fit into that.
You called him a black hole, I believe.
Yeah, he's sucking everyone else in. I love Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. I love them how they're being presented at the moment. But it is a bit disheartening to step back and go, oh, but you're just Roman's lackeys.
You're Roman's mates,
yeah. When really they should be bigger things in their own right. I know that sounds silly because Seth's the Intercontinental Champion, but I don't feel like it's really been positioned that way. But Paul Heyman does the Brockonomics thing, and he also brings out the door. I thought they were going to make more of that.
I thought they were as well. They just brought it out and then sort of put it down and then left.
Yeah, the Hell in a Cell door that Brock had kicked in. They just popped it there on the wall.
And against a red LED screen, so you couldn't really see how red the door was.
Maybe Heyman didn't camouflaged out of his eyes.
But I thought this was a decent opening segment. I can't say that I'm thrilled for Crown Jewel because it'll end up. I think it'll just be like Greatest Royal Rumble, which will be a glorified house show. Mm-hmm. Nothing really major will happen. Stuff will happen at the show, but it's a house show. It's there because WWE are getting paid a lot of money for it.
And there's the even. It feels even stinkier this time because just 5 days before will be Evolution, the women's pay-per-view, and then like you thought, hey, that's good. Like WWE are doing that thing as gimmicky as it is, fair play. But now you're like, oh, but are they just doing it because they're gonna have the all men's pay-per-view on 5 days after? So I don't know. This segment ended with Corbin booking him versus Reigns for the main event for the Universal title.
A match that I was like, oh, I've zero interest in that match, mate.
I was like, well, that's the biggest drop ever from 2 to 3 at the second to third hour of Raw.
Yeah. But I suppose, going back to the title of this video, what are your thoughts on Brock and Crown Jewel?
Well, I'm glad to see Brock back. I'm excited to see that he'll be featured going forward, because he is like a huge star, and the air does change when he enters the arena.
It's like we said with Walter in ring camp tag matches.
He feels special.
The atmosphere does change whenever Walter steps in the ring.
Yeah, but it's the whole Crown Jewels thing. It's almost becoming white noise to criticize it because it's just all a bit redundant and cynical. But it's happening. It's like this weird non-canon. Well, it is. It's like a one-shot. It's like, okay, so it's like when Marvel or DC, you'll be in the middle of a huge epic storyline that spans all the major titles in the comics, and then, oh, here's the summer holiday annual issue. It's an annual. That's what it is. It doesn't really impact anything else, but there's a few cool stories in there. But overall, it feels a bit pointless and a waste of $4.99.
Yep.
Yeah.
But they're making a lot of money from those annuals, so I guess thumbs up for them? If you weren't able to see us at Wrestling MediaCon, where we did a live episode of the WrestleRamble with the Dingleberries from Cultaholic and our epic showdown, including that dance, we're doing another live WrestleRamble this November. There's 2 big things happening in November now, the Saudi Arabia show and WrestleRamble at the Prince Charles Cinema in London, where we're going to be screening one of my favourite wrestling documentaries ever, Beyond the Mat, the documentary Vince McMahon did not want you to see. And we're going to show that as a 35mm print at the Prince Charles, one of my favourite cinemas, in fact, my favourite cinema ever. And we're going to do a live episode of the WrestleRamble. All 3 of us will be there, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Haha, it's a Raw review looking jacked, man.
Just to make you aware, the sun is shining through the skylight in the temporary studio.
It's the midday sun.
Yep, it's we can't light around the sun, folks.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a skylight,
yeah.
And there's nothing we can do about it in this temporary accommodation. So the people who are accusing us of not lighting the room correctly, we have got lights here, but there's only so much they can do against the sun.
They're losing out to
yeah.
the big yellow thing in the sky.
Yeah.
So the Raw opened with that Crown Jewels, Roman Reigns, Braun, whatever segment. But the first match after that was Drew McIntyre versus Dean Ambrose, a match we both talked about really wanting to see after the Hell in a Cell stuff, the way that tag match was structured, and the run-ins for the Hell in a Cell main event. You really wanted to see Ambrose and McIntyre go at it in a singles feud, and that would feel like a big deal, and hopefully one that they would save for a proper program to pay off at a pay-per-view. But that's not what happened.
You talk silly nonsense, mate.
They just gave it to us right here.
But you've said this many times. I thought they did enough in this match to make me want to see more matches out of them. I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was really good.
I agree. This wasn't the big match, but I just wish that this match could have been built up to over a few weeks. Yeah, this is like your first pay-per-view match.
Yes.
And then a couple of months after you have the big match. It was a good match. I just, in the grander scheme of things, I felt like money was left in the table. Although I do like, just before the ad break that would come back into the match, they just had a shot of Dean Ambrose glaring into the camera. It came out of nowhere, but it took me by surprise. I was like, is everyone else seeing this?
I thought man of the match for me in this was Drew. I thought Drew was absolutely awesome in this. His selling of his knee and his leg was absolutely brilliant. It was really good because that's what Dean was targeting throughout the match. The commentators were putting that over. I was like, what a smart tactic, because he's the larger man. You take him off his base. I thought it was really good. And Drew got the big win with the big kick.
Yeah, so Dean was kind of protected as well. He gets up to the top rope. He
stands on the LED post and then dives off to do like an axe handle or something, but Drew moves out the way. Dean just gets in at 9, but then runs into a Claymore kick.
Yeah, so I felt like this was more Dean Ambrose losing it for himself rather than Drew 100% convincingly winning. So that's probably why it felt like there's more, that this isn't the big payoff match. But I just wish it wasn't now. Then it cuts back to Corbin, and he makes Dolph versus Seth for the Intercontinental title, and if Seth doesn't turn up, he'll be stripped of the belt.
Well, that's because Corbin walked up and says to Dolph, because Dolph's congratulating Drew, and Corbin says, hey, we're all going to beat up the Shield tonight. You've beaten Dean Ambrose. I'm going to win the Universal Championship from Roman Reigns. And Dolph, why don't you invoke your rematch clause for the Intercontinental Championship? And Dolph, rightly said, was like, well, I took a massive table bump last night. I'm all beaten up. But Corbin said, well, Seth's not here. And I don't think he's going to be here. So, I mean, if you invoke your rematch clause, he's not going to be here to wrestle, and you'll win by forfeit. Which I thought was really good. It was like heels being heels and trying to win the cheapest way possible. I liked this.
Yeah, I wasn't so... it's such a Franken
Such a
team.
negative ninny, aren't you, today?
I know. Maybe I'm just in a bad mood this week. But, the whole Corbin... Sometimes I like heels versus... Like, heels being heels together. But this... It's already a bit Franken team for me, and this, just Baron like all that. Why does he like all the heels? I don't know. It feels lazy writing to me. But Corbin afterwards, I did like. He turns round after booking that match and tells a production person, "I am great at my job."
He's really proud of himself in that job.
Then we got Ronda Rousey backstage with Natalya and the Bella twins all hanging out like friends, and Ronda, being the noob, just says, "Hey, I want to make an open challenge. How do I do that, girls?"
I don't know, and it almost speaks to Alexa calling her an overhyped rookie. It's not hard to go out there and just open. But I thought the worst thing about this was Natalya going like, "Well, the way the guys do it is you just go out there as if like women have not been allowed to do that previously. They probably have. It's just the writers have never thought to do that."
Yeah, I thought this was rubbish.
This was a bad segment.
Yeah.
Very, very bad segment. The Bellas are still here. They'll be out later on. I thought this was very bad. And it was essentially like the Bellas and Natalya sitting there talking about how great Ronda is. They were just sitting there going like, God, she's great. How great is she? Very great. Yeah, she's very great.
It's really poor writing of anything.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I'm like, okay, this isn't Breaking Bad. I'm not going to compare it to Breaking Bad, but I'll compare it to...
Well, WWE is not Breaking Bad.
Shocker. But I will compare it to, like, a basic network show, like an Arrow. I'm going to offend people by calling their favourite shows basic now.
It is very basic, that show,
like,
though. Supergirl.
You know, Walking Dead has become that. Just things that... are just mainstream.
They're there to fill 40 minutes.
Yeah, like kind of villain of the week stuff I would watch on Channel for Stargate, you know.
Yep, that was one of your favourite shows, Stargate.
Yeah, so I like the mainstream stuff. I love mainstream things. And, but this, like, at least they're good. And you can sit down and kind of get sucked into it because the characters know who each other are. The scenes are often engaging, and there aren't huge logic holes most often. Walking Dead that you can drive trucks through, but here, this is just like, why would anybody watch that?
And the weirdest thing is, the majority of the writers they have write for TV. That's where they came from. They're all TV writers.
Maybe they're just the worst ones. And then they're filtered through Stephanie and Vince.
Because WWE made this big deal of like they didn't want to hire people who liked wrestling. They wanted to hire TV people or people who'd worked within the Hollywood system to come in, and so they could write a TV show. Because wrestling fans don't know how to write a TV show, I guess.
They did pretty well before this new mentality came in.
Who was it? Who was one of them? Because I know like David Arquette had a stint, but there was another one. Freddie Prinze Jr. That's the one. I was going to say Luke Perry, but I was like, it was like Luke Perry, but the other one. Freddie Prinze Jr., that's who I was
But
thinking
he
of.
liked wrestling.
I know, but that's why he only lasted a couple of weeks.
Next up, we got Chad Gable taking on Victor. It is impossible not to be happy when Bobby Roode comes out for the glorious thing, and I'm like, this Bobby Roode's been booked into oblivion. But then Chad Gable pops up from underneath the camera somehow.
So happy, just like celebrating around. My first note is, I love this partnership.
That grin is just so pure. There is no malice behind those eyes. It's just joy, unbridled joy emanating from Gable.
I was so thrilled. And it's Chad Gable in a singles match. I was like, I am thrilled by this. But who are they facing? It's the Ascension again. Yeah. And I thought to myself, well, Ollie Davis is going to be very upset that they're still facing the Ascension. And then by the end of this, it looks like they're in a feud now, and it must continue.
Yeah, so after beating the Ascension in consecutive weeks, so twice, Chad Gable just took on Victor in a singles match. And Victor's an excellent wrestler.
He is. He's really good in this match.
It's a real shame that he's kind of stuck in this act that's become a jobber act. But yeah, just the crowd was dead here. They popped for the glorious entrance music and the finish, but they were so dead for this. And why would they be excited? It's like we've seen, but now is definitely the time. It's after a pay-per-view. It's kind of like a soft reset of all the feuds. Give Gable and Roode another tag team to face off against.
Absolutely.
And then make them face off against a different tag team next week.
And you could set it up quite easily. Kurt Hawkins comes out with a tag team partner that's just another jobber, and he's like, this is how I'm going to break my defeated streak. I'm going to face off against a tag team and get a tag team victory instead. And then Gable and Roode still win.
Heath Slater and Rhino.
Do it that way, absolutely.
Let's sit him right there.
There's plenty of options, but no, they're actually now getting into a feud because the Ascension have lost 3 times, and that's how the feud has started. So I guess.
What is? You can't call this a feud.
Well, you can because
it's just a series of matches.
In the same way that Titus O'Neil and Authors of Pain had that feud that one time.
But they kind of worked it into some personal beef.
Did they?
There was a bit, like something about disrespect.
Or Mojo and No Way Jose. Where's No Way Jose been beating Dubs? He hasn't been around for ages.
So Mojo was he took specific umbrage with No Way Jose's
but he just kept
attitude.
Beating him week in, week out.
But at least there was some motivation there. Like, these are just 2 acts that have been booked together repeatedly.
But now there's motivation. Because,
Where?
Because Connor attacked them after the match, and he's now all annoyed because they keep losing, I guess. So there is motivation there for a feud.
We're getting that big Connor singles push now.
That's what we've been waiting for. Yeah. When really it's Victor's the one you want because he's really good.
Seth Rollins arrives next backstage. Slight limp, pimp limp.
Yep, which has buggered up Dolph's plans.
And he's told that Dolph is invoking the rematch clause, and he goes, I'll try and fight through.
Yep.
You both took the exact same bump.
Well, I like it because Rollins chuckles of being like, yeah, of course he is. And then but makes the point, I need to remind Corbin that he may be the acting general manager or whatever his title is, but this is Monday Night Rollins. I liked Seth here.
Then we got The Undertaker.
Dong. Yeah. This was it felt like he'd lost himself, but at no point forgot his lines.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. How many times do you have to point out Shawn Michaels is Triple H's best friend?
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, it was a bit rambly. It was more coherent than his one at Raw 25 because this one had a point. But it was not the world's greatest promo. And I will say this about the feud between Triple H and The Undertaker. It's just been promo after promo after promo, and there's been no interaction between the two of them. Like, why is Undertaker here one week, but then not here the following week, and that just happens to be the week Triple H is there? Like, just them in the ring together. Do a silent stare down. Anything. Well, it's just lads talking and saying, I'm going to win.
Well, you're still 3 weeks out. Like, I've no problem with I think this has been an excellent build to a match. It's just, it does get me down that they don't do this for, mid-card feuds and just all the other feuds.
I agree with you. I think they should do this. Do a better version of storytelling for other feuds because they are building this better than most stuff.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd argue that AJJ's doing pretty well, and Becky and Charlotte, sort of. It's a bit muddled.
You see, there's an asterisk.
There's an asterisk there. But what I would say is I think it has started very hot, but it's gradually worsening for me, personally, because it is just Triple H comes out and says, The Undertaker is old. And then The Undertaker comes out and says, Triple H is delusional. And then Shawn Michaels will come out and say, The Undertaker is old. And then Triple H will come out and say, The Undertaker is old. And then the following week, Undertaker's come out and said, Triple H is delusional. It's a lot of repeating the same points.
I think an extra wrinkle has been added each week. So the first one was Triple H, so that's your start. The next week it was the Shawn Michaels thing and Taker returned, and that was the best moment so far.
Best moment so far.
And then you had the Triple H promo where, like, I like the sentiment of that and how he built around the polls saying that he wasn't going to win, and that really irked Undertaker. That was a great line. And then this week, the Undertaker eventually revealed, after taking the scenic route around Death Valley, that Kane will be in his corner at Super Showdown. Shawn Michaels will be in Triple H's, not the special guest referee like was rumored. But this definitely seems to be setting up the DX versus Brothers of Destruction tag match for the crown jewels.
Yes. I thought it was a bit of a rambly promo, but he got there in the end. This was a better promo than Raw 25.
Oh, yeah.
And it was better than his one with the Big Show back in 99, where he was talking about getting the motorcycles and driving.
Back in 99?
Well, that's like peak rambly Undertaker promo. That is like, you go back and watch it, it's a marvellous, rambly nonsense promo about nothing, and it goes on for about 20 minutes. At least this was concise.
So I like the way you've ranked this. It's better than the two other promos in his 30-year career.
You see, it was not the worst promo he's ever done.
It's the anti-penultimate worst promo he's ever done. I agree. I thought it was a rambly promo, but like a nice twist at the end with having Kane in his corner.
And Kane got a massive pop.
Yeah.
Kane got a giant. It's the biggest reaction he's got that's not connected to Daniel Bryan in years.
Oh, he got a big pop last year when he returned at the cage match.
Yes, so that's a one-time thing, and then that diminished very quickly. Maybe it's because he hasn't.
This was a one-time thing.
Yeah, but he was here like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
With Team Hell. Team Hell knows the other feud we couldn't remember. You know, we're talking about things that Daniel Bryan has done since coming back.
Yes!
We completely forgot about Team Hell No. I knew there was something in the middle.
And I enjoyed that one. just so grumpy and cynical. Dana Brooke has left Titus Worldwide.
Yes. Yeah, and she came out. Bayley and Sasha Banks came out with the Connor's Cure kids, and they all did a little bit of celebrating. And I've written, it was lovely until Michael Cole shouted, "Hugs for everyone."
Yeah,
which just made me cringe a little.
Yeah, and like again, where's the angle, guys? Where is Dana Brooke coming out and just pushing one of them over to build to that feud?
Exactly. Corey had a weird line, or not a weird line, but you know that sort of like, you just say things because you're the heel. Like, he was talking about how, like, he was putting over Titus Worldwide, saying, like, Dana Brooks had all of her success because of Titus Worldwide. And I'm like, what success?
Yeah, she lost.
She loses all the time.
And didn't have a match for a year.
Yeah. I mean, my note here is Bayley wins, so I don't really know much else about the match. This is where I thought the show was starting to dip a little bit.
Yeah, so this was a very short match. It was just a belly to Bayley. So, I mean, when they set this up as Dana Brooke is now split with Titus Worldwide, something they've been building for about 3 weeks now, I figured, okay, Titus Worldwide are going to come down here and try and recruit Dana back. But it seems no, that is the end of the storyline now. Dana has split, there's going to be no follow-up. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it was a way because the crowd was so amped from the Undertaker match, you wanted to just cool them down a little bit. So that's pretty much what it was.
Let's just give them a break from cheering so hard.
For Kane.
So after that, we got AOP.
Well, before that, we got the new trailer for WWE 2K19, which I'm sure will be a fun game if you pay all the microtransactions, so you're actually allowed to play it.
Aren't they getting away from that?
No, it's only in Belgium. Belgium have ruled, well, and that's with NBA 2K19. They've ruled that that loot boxes is effectively gambling, and they've got to remove it from the. And I think Finland are looking into it as well now.
That part of Europe is so progressive.
I know.
All the Scandinavians and the little bit of Belgium is nearby.
I do really like the Scandinavian countries, and they're really pretty as well. And I think they're full of really, really nice people
and tall, beautiful people.
Yep.
All of them.
I mean, when I went to Sweden, I was stunned at how beautiful every single person there was.
When I went to Denmark, it was like, where are they keeping the ugly people somewhere? Where are my people?
I was going to say, where are the people that look like me?
Why are they all 6 foot, blonde, blue-eyed, and riding bikes everywhere? You look so graceful. The way they ride bikes.
Oh, it's
just like this.
It's like a swan in water, but without the leg bit.
Yeah, I'm huffing. I'm hunched over.
Yep.
So AOP was the next match, beating jobber, local enhancement talent, Gregory James and Barrett Brown.
It was a short match. They won with the Super Collider.
Yes.
Is this going anywhere?
Well, this doesn't have to for a bit.
But yet, Chad Gable and Rude versus the Ascension is bad for you.
There's a difference between squash matches week after week for a monster act and 2 new guys getting stuck in the same meaningless tag feud.
Oh, these are doing the same thing.
But squash matches are a different. They're kind of a different beast.
I get you the squash match to go. But my question is this leading to something? Because they're not going to be in the tag title picture anytime soon, because the tag titles are over in the Shield feud with Braun and the Dogs of War and all that. So are they just going to just squash jobbers for the next few months until that's all resolved?
For a couple of weeks, yeah. Squash. This has a purpose, and it's to get over AOP after a completely botched call-up.
My only argument, I don't disagree with you. My only counter to that would be this is what they did when they called them up the first time round, and then eventually just stopped doing it, and then they got into a feud with Titus Worldwide.
Yeah, well, the hope is this would turn into something.
Yes, that's what
this is not comparable to the glorious Gables.
I feel like this is not going anywhere soon.
They're bullies. They beat up a poor producer who had the audacity to walk past them backstage.
Maybe they're building them up for Rude and Gable. They need a heel act to face that's not the Ascension.
Then we got the Seth Rollins Dolph Ziggler match, but before that, Corbin and Ziggler are having an evil heels meeting backstage. Ho ho ho! You can still beat him, Ziggler. He's more injured than you.
Yep.
I don't think that's true. They just showed the replay. It looked like the exact same bump.
Yeah, but Dolph's hard, isn't he? He's a heel.
And Rollins walks in on them.
Yes, and he says that I like Dolph saying hey man, there's still time for you to back out of this match, because he doesn't want to have the match either, because he's all banged up. But Rollins says he came for a fight, and that's when they led to the match. Both men were still in their backs after that table spot from Hell in a Cell, and this was a decent match. I really liked the spot where he hit the superplex into the Falcon Arrow, but couldn't actually do the Falcon Arrow because of his back. I thought that was really nice.
I really liked this match, just because after any pay-per-view, those are meant to be big violent matches, especially a Hell in a Cell one. I really appreciated both men basing the whole match really around selling those injuries. Yeah. Every move had one of them going, "Ooh, my back." Or there was a great bit where Ziggler was on the outside. Rollins motions, not even does a full rope run, to dive on the outside, but then he just stops, just shakes his leg out and gets out and walks round the ring to get him.
Yeah.
I thought, I really, really like this match. It's nothing. It's not like a 4-star match or anything, but it's a really solid telling of that story, and that's what's really missing from Raw. The bread and butter stuff is not good usually, but this was very good.
I really liked that spot as well when he was selling the back and going to do the dive. I just I hope that continues for the rest of this night.
Yes, yeah. For the people who were that spear, man. Oh, a day later.
Oof, still going.
So
actually, I was talking about the fact that Seth did a dive later on in the evening.
Oh right, yeah. Well, the adrenaline. Rollins hit the curb stomp in the end for the win. Cut back to Roman, nodding, watching the telly. There's my boy.
There's my boy. It's my lackey. He won.
Then we got Hispanic Heritage Month.
Oh, this was not my feed.
Which I was okay with. Because they talked about wrestlers. This wasn't Jennifer Lopez or stuff that I don't care about on a wrestling show. It was Eddie Guerrero. It was Rey Mysterio. It was Andrade Cien Almas talking about his father, who I can't remember the name of, a famous luchador. Yes, so good.
Yep.
I expect we'll get this every week. I don't fully understand the Americans' obsession with making their own history. But yes, this was a fine installment.
Okay.
Ronda Rousey's Open Challenge was next.
Yeah. So, I mean, she comes out, she's all smiles.
Hated that.
Yeah, and this happened at the pay-per-view as well. Well, she's meant to be, like, selling the ribs because her ribs are meant to be hurting. And even her ribs are taped up. Like she reveals during her promo, my ribs are taped up. But she's not selling it whatsoever. Like, she's just walking out like the exact way she would do normally. And considering how good her selling was at Hell in a Cell, this was very disappointing. And she was seemingly very overwhelmed by the reaction that she got because she was very giggly.
I think that's what they told her to do. This is always the way with Ronda. After she wins a match, they send her out there. She cuts an in-ring promo where it's like, I'm so humble. Thank you so much to Alexa Bliss. She really proved herself. I didn't know she could go that far, but I beat her in the end. And I'm just so grateful to the fans for embracing me and for the women backstage for being so lovely. And half of the roster are my best friends in the whole world. And even the heels, I love them too. I'm just here to... And, like, I have no time for that. I cannot believe they do this because after that, this was all to set up her Open Challenge.
Right, man, you got the cheap pops first.
Which cheap pops?
The cheap pops was just like, I want to be the best champion. I want to be like Bret Hart. Steve Austin. Hey, Ric Flair. Woo! Like, you have to get the cheap pops out there so people can get on your side.
Yeah, so just why... You can cut all of that out because the end of this promo was her turning to the camera and saying... And then entering meme face mode and effectively saying... Now, someone come out so I can beat them up.
Yeah.
And that was really cool.
If anyone has the gumption to come out and face me, very much a Vince McMahon line.
So why not just come out and
do
say that?
Yeah.
Like, look, yeah. Why not just have badass Rousey all the time? This isn't a character to be humble and grateful. And she name-checked Steve Austin. Ugh, I really didn't like it. And then, it might get interesting. Natalia's music has answered the Open Challenge.
Yep, but Natalya does not come out. In fact, the Riot Squad drag out her limp carcass. And then Ruby cuts a decent promo and said, like, what we did to Natalya, that was your fault. But then had the really weird line of, like, we don't dislike you. We just don't like you either.
Yeah.
What? Like, this is that duck butt line from Connor the other week with the Ascension. Is it a backstage thing I don't understand? Did she fall over her words? Did she forget something? It was a really odd line. And Ruby accepted the challenge, and Ronda sort of just essentially attacked them all on her own. And then Ruby speared her, really good spear actually. Then, of course, here come the Bellas. Bellas come down, and they dispatch the Riot Squad. But this is, again, one of these things. So I've got two issues with this. And this is apart from Ronda's promo. One, and it's the same with the AJ Joe thing at Super Showdown. You've already announced the match, so like, just do things organically. Have this angle, and they'll be like, and now they're going to have a 6-man at Super Showdown. Lovely stuff. The second part of this, and it's the issue I had a couple of weeks ago. Why could we possibly care about this? Because the Bellas beat them with a 2-on-3 handicap. Brie Bella beat her. Was it Brie or Nikki? One of them beat one of them in a singles match, so there's no real drama there. And now Ronda beat all of them up on her own, more or less, and they all beat them up with the three of them teamed together. So what challenge are the Riot Squad to them?
Yes.
Like, there's zero drama to this.
Yeah. My feelings on the... excuse me. My feelings on the Bella Twins are out there. I
love them.
I love them. It's completely uninteresting, and yeah. The Ronda and the Bellas versus the Riot Squad at Super Showdown. Just give me an excuse to like the Riot Squad, Because Sarah Logan's very good. I think Liv Morgan's improved tremendously. Ruby Riott, I've always been a fan of. I think she's an excellent wrestler and a great promo.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just... There's nothing. They've just been booked into nothing. They're like Sanity.
Yeah.
So it's very...
They might be higher on the totem pole than Sanity at this point.
Yeah, most people are. So this was just rubbish stuff for Rousey, rubbish stuff for the women's division, and just that sort of wet fart thing at the end of it, where it's, and here's the match.
Yeah, they're going
to... It awkwardly, retroactively ties into.
Yeah, it's like announcing the match and then booking the angles to set up the match. I wasn't a fan of this segment.
However...
Speaking of good things, though...
Yes, so, I might have been a bit grouchy for this review, but this...
A bit grouchy.
But you'll get blamed for all of it.
Of course I will.
But this is unbridled success for me. I cannot believe that this has worked. I cannot believe how down I've been on Lashley's character. And then he does the my man thing, and I was like, we
got it over ourselves because it made us laugh when we made jokes about it. Yeah,
that became a private joke between me, Luke, and Laurie, which we then shared with you. So we've got an affinity for Lashley anyway. And then Lio Rush comes in, and my God, this pairing works.
Yeah, it really does.
So the segment starts off with Elias, who I think got the loudest pop of the night.
Yeah, of course he did.
In both ways. So first off, he did some wicked guitar.
Yeah, really nice.
And people were going crazy for that. And then he did the walk with Elias. Everyone went crazy for that. And then he did the your sports team sucks thing, and everyone booed him for that. So he got both the biggest babyface and heel pops on the show.
Elias segments quickly become some of my favourite times on Raw because it's when I know I can get up and comfortably make a cup of tea and my breakfast and not miss anything.
Yeah, I boiled
because
the kettle.
I can put my headphones on and I can just walk away from my screen and I can set the kettle up and I can make a cup of tea and just listen to what he says. And it's grand.
Yeah, and he's been interrupted every week recently. So just as he starts to do the song, someone comes out. And in this time, it was Lio Rush.
And Elias so Lio Rush starts cutting this promo. And Elias just cuts him off and says, who let this child into the arena? Like, which parent let their child escape and let them get onto the ramp and walk down to the ring? This is a dangerous environment.
And that was... Elias's delivery of that line was perfect.
It's so
really funny. And then Lio brings out Bobby Lashley, and it turns into Elias versus Bobby Lashley because you got to build that Elias and Kevin Owens versus Bobby Lashley and John Cena match for Super Showdown.
Yep. Oh yeah, yeah. Of course, that's
who's winning that one. Who do you reckon?
I mean, yeah. Do we want to do a prediction show for Super Showdown?
Oh, we will. I'm not making the
greatest Royal Rumble mistake again.
Yeah, we're coming in.
No,
we're
I know.
Coming in on Saturday to record that review.
Yeah. We're gonna watch it live.
Yes, well, it's one of those rare ones we can do. 9 a.m. for us on Saturday morning, we'll be in. And, yeah, Elias and Bobby have a brief match, but then Kevin Owens comes out to chase Rush, who was on commentary, and Rush was excellent here.
Yeah.
Just kind of running away from Owens, and Elias runs towards him, cutting him off on the other side. There's this amazing Spider-Man leapfrog over him.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was great, and then got into the apron, did like a big flip and stuff like that. I thought this was really good. This is almost one of those things where you on paper you're like, our main aim of this is to get Lio Rush over, and I thought they did that perfectly.
Yeah. So the relationship they seemed to be setting up last week was Rush is almost a comedy,
he's like Don King.
Yeah, but Bobby Lashley didn't really care about him, and we were like, well, that dynamic doesn't have much mileage because the money here would be them both working together and becoming actually quite good friends, and Lio being useful to Bobby, Bobby being useful to Lio. And that now seems to be the way they're going, which is much better than what they seemed to be building to last week. So this is good. The only downside, sorry, Grouchy Ollie is coming out again.
Here he is
that it's just several weeks after having the most intriguing storyline in WWE. Owens is nothing more than mid-card filler. He is behind Elias in terms of mid-card heel. It's just, what the hell?
Yeah, it wasn't great for poor old Kevin Owens, but I'm going to look on the positive side of things. I liked this segment.
Yes.
I liked Lio, like, he went to hoist him up on his shoulders and Lio sort of fell backwards. And then DDP, core strength, just hoisting himself up with the help of Bobby. Oh, this is great. I really like this partnership.
I do too.
And I hope we can get more of Lio Rush on commentary. The manager of the hour.
And kind of wrestling. I mean, they could be a pretty decent tag team.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, it almost seems to be setting up Lio and Bobby versus Kevin Owens and Elias, but we've got to make way for the bigger star in John Cena. Maybe Cena will make a run in next week, and that will retroactively set up that will be the angle for the match they've already announced.
Don't be silly. Cena's not appearing on Raw.
No.
He's just flying in to do the
Super
Australia.
Show, and as soon as that finishes, he's back on a plane going home again.
Good day, mate. So next up, we got Ember Moon and a mystery tag partner versus Mickie James and Alicia Fox.
Yeah, the three. So Alicia, Mickie, and Alexa cut a cell phone promo before this, and there was a. So Alexa says that that Mickie and Alicia are going to challenge Ember and a mystery partner. And Foxy says, I can't see how that's going to happen because no one wants to be friends with Ember.
We do.
We do. And also, have you not seen their Dungeons & Dragons video they did on Up, Up, Down, Down? She's got loads of friends. And but Mickie says that, she doesn't have friends like I do. And Alexa just looks at her and goes yeah, you are lucky.
It was a good I thought they all played off each other really well.
Yeah, it was nice.
These three. And
sort of Franken team again. But it's nice.
Yeah,
I'm amazed. I'll be honest. I'm amazed these aren't facing Ronda and the Bellas at Super Showdown.
Yeah, it is weird. So my Raw review was the old Silhouette, who's that Pokemon thing. WWE star returns from injury. That was not my original title. It was huge WWE star returns.
Oh yeah.
And I had it in there, and I was like, wait a second, that could be misconstrued
as, on YouTube. I don't think so.
As like a body shaming thing. So I changed it to preempt any negative stuff. But it was Nia Jax who returned.
Yeah, in fact, I wrote Nia Jax down before she was announced.
Oh, did you? It caught me by surprise.
No, I figured it was going to be Jax. It's not me to be like, oh, look at me, I'm so smart, what a braggart. I was just like, I think it's time that Nia, and I think she was backstage at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
So I was like, I figured that Nia's coming back here.
Oh, good call. Moon was worked over for the majority of the match.
Alexa sold Nia coming out so well.
She did.
Yeah, sorry, I had to cut you off there.
And to build to the Nia hot tag, and Jax won.
Yeah. The highlight for me was, aside from Alexa selling Nia Jax, where literally it was like a slow turn as she heard the music. It was Corey Graves just making Mean Girls references and talking about Jingle Bell Rock. Yeah. I was like, this is great. More of this, please.
Bliss's facials are always excellent.
Yes.
And then WWE... This was awkward afterwards, though. WWE were like, wow, Nia Jax just is fresh off her victory at the hashtag See Her Awards.
I believe that. I've written See Her Award as well.
Yeah. And they had like a little video clip thing to run. So it's like, oh, what a big surprise. I guess they would know backstage. I don't know. Just hate everything today. And the main event was Roman Reigns taking on Baron Corbin in just like the ratings are going to tank. Unless maybe Roman's over, but this main event was not just telling me you are now in the Reigns era, like the proper Reigns as the top guy Universal Championship era, but also NFL season has started, so historically WWE just kind of give up for a few months.
Yeah.
And
they don't try quite as hard.
No, and they like, okay, we're going to get bad ratings for a few months because of all the NFL games on Monday nights. So we're just going to take it easy and take a few 2.3 ratings for Raw. And that, Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin, that's the big thing you're building towards for the main event. Building
for the whole show. And it was much like the match with Braun. Not really much of a match until Smoke and Mirrors ran down. And then actually, I said to you when we came in, by the end of this match, I did actually get quite into it. And the crowd really were as well. I thought the crowd were actually quite hot for this match. Considering how much they were booing Roman at the start of the show, they were really behind him in this main event.
Okay.
And I thought Roman did a really good job of doing that. And he made his comeback. And but I liked it as well because Roman was sort of setting up for the Superman punch. But every time he did, Corbin would just roll out the ring and the crowd would boo him rolling out the ring. And they'd cheer Roman throwing him back into the ring. And then he had this wicked spot where he runs around the ring, jumps off the steps and gives him the Superman punch that way. And I was surprised because these two actually got me into this match. And I had zero interest going in. But I thought they did a good job in turning it around. And then it got even better when Smoke and Mirrors happened.
I wasn't into the start of that. I did enjoy Corbin rolling out, doing the Bully Ray, Randy Savage heel stuff of just stopping the match from properly getting going. But yeah, I just wasn't into the first 10 minutes of this match.
No, neither was I.
Which is when all this was happening. And then Roman has enough. He comes around to spear Corbin, but Corbin has a chair, chucks it at Roman safely, and the referee was like, well, that's a DQ. And just like Baron did a few weeks ago with the Balor match, he restarts it and says, well, actually, now it's a no DQ match.
Yeah.
Still for the title. So Roman has that stacked against him. And then Braun Strowman runs down. That's stacked against him, but he fights him off. Then
he doesn't fight himself, he posted himself. Braun.
Oh, yeah, he moves out of the way.
Yeah.
Mac and Dolph come down, but then so do the Shield. Everyone's brawling.
And
Roman hits a spear for the win.
Well, Corbin got a really good near fall out of this.
Off the deep six.
Off the deep six.
Yeah.
Like a really decent near fall. And I think the crowd even bought into it as like a potential title switch.
That was
I thought everyone did a really good job of getting this main event over that initially probably was not over. So all in all, I would give this a big thumbs up in terms of this segment. I thought it was a really fun main event, and I had a blast watching it.
I'm happy for you.
Thanks, man.
I wasn't. Mine's like more of a two thumbs in the middle, but one of the thumbs is kind of pointing down. And while I'm doing that, I'm saying the word meh.
Yeah.
That was my reaction.
That's
really.
fair enough.
And it said at the end, by the way, Mac Dolphman versus Shield at Super Showdown.
Yeah, maybe we can get the sort of similar comments we did yesterday, which were either ones because like, God, you guys are far too positive about this pay-per-view, or I wish you would go back to hating these shows.
Yes.
And stop being paid by WWE to like them.
People love it when people's opinions agree with their own.
Yeah.
That's the point that's the point of social media.
Yeah.
So yes, I gave this a poor rating,
which I think is really unfair. I mean, I'd have given it a high smack bang in the middle, leaning
average.
That's what I meant. Yeah. Yeah.
I give it a high meta view.
Yeah, I go a 3.5 out of 5, maybe leaning towards the 4, because there was more on this show that I liked than I didn't like, and the stuff that I liked, I really liked. So, but there was some of the stuff in there that I wasn't massively keen on. Thought Taker's promo was very rambly. I didn't particularly like the Ronda stuff, but I really liked the main event. I liked the Dean-Drew match, and there was some of the stuff in the show that I really enjoyed. And the Lio Rush, Bobby Lashley stuff. So, yeah, definitely thumbs in the middle, leaning more towards up.
Yeah, I like I said, I thought it was quite an uninspiring show. But that's all we've got time for today. Please click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk things. And this button right here will subscribe you to the podcast version on Apple Podcasts. But you can get that anywhere. Just search WrestleRamble on your chosen podcast provider. I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen. And that was Rambling.